All right, let's go.
Hi, I'm Brendan, and I'm presenting affirmative Kyoto Protocol. So what is the Kyoto Protocol? The Kyoto Protocol is a treaty shared between 38 industrialized nations, saying that they have to lower their greenhouse gas emissions. It's a project in an attempt to stop global warming and limit CO2 emissions. Developing countries are responsible for the majority of GHG emissions, so they are exempt from the entire treaty all around the globe. But Maddie and I firmly believe that the Kyoto Protocol should be a treaty used globally because it saves polar bears, it saves the ice cap, and it stops global warming. So to meet these goals of the protocol, an estimated 0 to 3% GDP around the globe for the countries that participate would have to be sacrificed. This would cost as much as $40 billion annually, but overall will take dramatic effects on the environment. Thank you.
Okay.
Am I done?
What do we like?
No,
What do-
you have to-
We have like
All right,
time to
so-
prepare.
So the you guys were affirmative, right?
Yeah.
So negatives for speaker.
Oh.
Our first point.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
Yeah.
your
case.
case.
Okay.
Yep.
So we believe that the Coyote program should not should not be in place. First of all, because there is actually no evidence that global warming is happening. Also, which would create that whole never mind. And then also, there is a lot of evidence that shows that the Earth, the cycles, that it actually heats up and goes down. So even if it is heating up, it will eventually go down, just according to the natural cycles of the Earth. And the Kyoto program would cost countries many billions of dollars, as he mentioned, and would not be very effective and would not change much.
All right. So now it's the crossfire. The crossfire between the people who just presented. Yep.
Get up here.
Jesse. Yeah, Jesse. Jesse. Yeah.
you
I'll
have
go
there
there
too.
too.
Yep. So this is crossfire now.
You're real tired.
Really, Michael? Real mature.
Not crossfire.
Wait, can we
No.
Oh, just Michael.
All right, you go first.
So, how can you prove that there's no global warming if there's also no evidence? Wait, no. I'm going to say, how can you prove that global warming isn't happening?
It's snowing today.
Like, you can't. Yeah, answer that.
Well, it's not that it isn't happening, but it's a natural cycle, and it's not that it's caused by just the natural cycles of the Earth and not the pollution that we're creating. And we have some statistics that say that in the last 14 years, the average temperature of the Earth has only increased 0.4 degrees, which is just on the natural cycle of the Earth, and so.
I'm glad you brought that up because, in fact, I discussed this in 8th grade science. And in fact, that having a degree makes a major difference, and that's also one of the reasons that the South and North Polar ice caps are dramatically decreasing in size.
But also that is just the natural cycle of the Earth. That's going to happen anyways, and it's not part of our purpose and not our fault that it is doing that. And survival of the fittest, the stronger animals are going to be able to live and move on and evolve. And then I'll ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
What you said the $40 billion are going to be spent. Is that per country or for the 38 countries or?
That's per.
All right.
ratified because global warming is real. There would be less pollution and GHG and CO2 emissions in the atmosphere, and the treaty combats all these negative things. First of all, global warming translates to the heating of the land and the air on Earth, and so what this is doing is it's melting the glaciers in the ice caps and causing for harsher living conditions for a lot of people. What Josie said is the survival of the fittest is what this is permitting, and if that happens, then the diversity of a lot of life forms are going to diminish, and we're going to be left with only certain animals that can live in warmer conditions. Then what he also said is that this is a pattern, and so if the conditions are then going to warm up again, then all these animals that are going to cool off again, and all these animals that only survive in warm conditions are going to not be able to survive. So this protocol is helpful and it's easy to use for a lot of countries, and there's 38 countries in it already, and it's growing, and so it's ratified.
All right, I'm on the affirmative team, negative team for protocol. Okay, so we believe this is bad for one reason, because of the money. They said that at least $300 billion will be spent in the
Oh, time out there. I said 40.
No, let him.
40. Stop global warming. More money will be spent, and also more money will be spent towards the people, such as the average gas and electric car to stop the pollution, like Patty said, costs up to $8,000 more than a gas car. With these new precautions made, it would be interrupting into people's lives, such as having them to take more precautions to stop the global warming, such as with pollution and stuff like that. Also with the animals, a large amount of the organisms have already adapted to global warming and how its natural effects have been taking on them, such as mammals, particularly butterflies, and also the agriculture depends on the steady water supplies and the climate. Yeah, and it will also free. And another thing, it'll also free the passage between the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, which will which will increase production in corporations, and that's a good thing for the people if global warming doesn't happen. And it also gives food to the other, and it also increases migration of animals such as mosquitoes, which will give food to other animals in other countries where food is scarce. So for all those reasons, that's why we believe protocol is bad.
Okay, so first of all, your fact about $300 billion is spent. That's not correct. It's actually $40 billion. Another one is electric cars cost way less because you can charge up your cars instead of having to pay what's the gas price right now, $2.80 or something, which is per gallon, which is really high, and it's just going up because more people are using it.
Hey, you should pay 5 cents a
But
gallon.
how many, it's 60 gallons.
Hey,
I make up for that.
okay, so you said that animals in warm conditions will be unable to survive. Do you?
I didn't say that. I don't know. I think animals will adapt to live in warm conditions if it's global warming.
And with you said that with the global warming, it will give CO2 emission into the atmosphere. How will the CO2 emission specifically help us people in our day-to-day lives?
I'm saying CO2 emission is causing global warming, not helping people. But again, with helping people, you said that interrupting people's lives, the Kyoto Protocol interrupts people's lives,
it forward, yo.
Okay. Another one is
Okay,
it'll
that's-
free the passage between the. No. Wait. We done?
Okay, so now it's speaker one. Speaker one summary.
Hey,
bless you. Affirmative is the first speaker.
Oh, okay, what am I supposed to say?
Your summary.
Oh, gosh.
You have 1 minute.
Right. So, in conclusion, Maddie and I firmly believe that the Kyoto Protocol is a good thing for this planet, and the 28 countries that signed on to it would probably agree, because we are lowering CO2 emissions, lowering GHG emissions, lowering, like, fixing ice caps. We're not fixing ice caps, we're preventing the melting of ice caps in the future, and it's also saving global warming. So, in conclusion, firmly believe the Kyoto Protocol is a positive thing.
All right, so I believe that it's not necessary. First of all, because, well, they have some good points, but they don't understand that the global warming is actually a natural process, and that interrupting that process, we have no idea what the effects that it'll bring, changing that process, because Earth has been going through this cycle ever since like 4 billion years ago when it was created, and changing that could have significant side effects. And also, they also mentioned that would change our lives and hurt our lives, but actually heating of the Earth would help many poor civilizations and countries, because it would create warmer weather and prevent many other things. And so we should not have the Kyoto Protocol.
Okay, now it's the red cross.
That's the way.
So all the speakers bring up.
Grand
Go.
Crossfire. Yeah.
Your ass. Go.
Okay, Grand Crossfire.
Hey, God, I always forget what you just say, but like, I am good at it.
Stand up there.
It's really funny.
No, you guys should.
It's so big.
Go.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
You said global warming will free the passage between the Atlantic and Pacific, which means more productions and more big companies, which would actually cause more pollution and more global warming. So I don't see how that helps.
Well, yeah, we think that it will help because it will give those corporations in other countries.
And more
And-
pollution.
Yeah, but the pollution will actually pay off in the long run because it will be giving more people.
Everyone's too hot.
No, it'll give more people jobs.
Not in the
more
long
people
run.
money.
Long run, we're gonna die.
Yeah, but it's
In the short run.
yeah, I guess. And it'll give more people jobs. It'll increase production, which will actually give more help to the people, which is what you guys are actually trying to say.
Yeah, and then when you said if you disrupt the process, which by lowering GHG emissions, originally on the Earth, we never had any GHG
Yeah,
emissions.
so-
So if we cut the emissions now, we're going back to the.
We're disrupting it by causing global warming, not
Yeah.
disrupting it by trying to fight it.
So you're trying to change global warming, like actual effect that the CO2 and the GMOs have on the temperature.
It's proven.
You're trying to change the natural effects of the climate that animals have
That's
already.
not natural.
Pollution and GHG and CO2 emissions are not natural.
Wait, do you know the actual effect that the CO2 and all of those have on the temperature?
It like,
Yeah, that's right.
Do you tell how you tell us?
Now, how about you tell us?
No.
We're asking
yeah,
you.
no, how about
You
you
know?
tell us?
I don't, because there is no
That's what you're.
There's proof.
there is no proof that is changing because
Yeah,
of
but
the
there's also
CO2
no
and all
proof that
that.
it's not changing.
But that's what your whole argument about.
You
is
can't
how
tell
it
us
affects
we're
the
wrong.
earth, so how does it?
Where's the temperatures?
Yeah, well,
That's
How
how
do you-
Look, we were in an ice
Then
age.
why
and
don't
now
you-
we're
How is
still
that bad? How is that bad?
Because it's melting global.
How do you?
How that affects us today?
Because, Lord, you're so selfish. You're putting those cute little polar bears in front of you. I mean behind you.
You'll survive on
Putting
the fittest.
yourself
We
in
need to
front of them.
survive to grow this
Survival of the
civilization.
fittest. How about no?
How will polar? Yo, can you explain to me how polar bears will like help us as humans in our day-to-day lives.
But you're being selfish. You're saying
Yeah,
we
that's-
like.
Yeah, hey, you didn't
you're-
answer my question.
No, no,
You
no,
didn't
you're-
answer-
no, no, no,
Why
guys,
do you keep asking
Did I-
about our
Stop.
It's not
Stop.
We have polar bears walking on the damn street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final focus, please.
Like a slow clap word.
Speaker 3 and 4, final focus, yeah?
That was good, that was good.
Okay, so in conclusion, I can unflinchingly say that global warming should, or Kyoto Protocol should definitely be ratified, because of our other team's lack of information.
Oh,
It's so frustrating.
shots have been
Okay.
fired.
As you can see, me and Jesse firmly believe that the Kyoto Protocol is not the way to go. We believe this because there is a lack of evidence, and